Women of Reddit, what's the most crazy girlfriend thing you've ever done? Well, it's not really a crazy girlfriend, because it was only a crush. I worked at a supermarket on the registers, and this guy who worked at the store next door came in at the same time. Same day every week. I ended up having a crush on him, despite never actually talking to him. I went to the store he worked at one day. His shift was just ending, and the next person was taking over for him. I asked his coworker what his name was, and he told me. I ended up going on Facebook and typing in his first name, his workplace, and where we lived, and I found his profile. After looking through all his pictures and being a complete weirdo, I made a fake account to add him on. Has accepted. Long story short, that's how I found out he was gay. My college ex and I broke up amicably, just going in different directions. The next guy she dated, she caught him drunkenly ducking her sister in her bed at her house party. She flipped. She was only about 52, 110, but she somehow hulked a half-full keg out of a second-story bedroom window onto the roof of his car. Legal drama galore. She called me to bail her out. I did. I never could decide if it was a bullet dodged or if I really couldn't blame her. That was one hell of a provocation. Hid on his roof while the cops were looking for me. We had a fight and he thought I was going to hurt myself. Sent him a video of myself crying as a way to reason with him after he broke up with me. My high school boyfriend ditched me on the night of my prom. Just didn't come to pick me up after I was all dressed up and ready to go so he could go to his ex-girlfriend's house and hang out with her. My friends and their boyfriends all chipped in for my dinner so I could go out with them before the dance. But then I went home because I couldn't handle going to prom alone, knowing I'd been ditched. After prom was over, my friends showed back up at my house with several cartons of eggs. We drove to the ex-girlfriend's house, found my boyfriend's prized Mustang, and egged the shit out of it. Oh, it was also a convertible and had the roof down. So the eggs got all in the upholstery and stuff too. My best friend's boyfriend also apparently knifed the tires, though I didn't find out about that until later. Looking back, it was a childish, mean thing to do, but man, it felt good that night. Edit. Some more info for those who asked. This happened 15 years ago. Aside from needing to replace one tire, the car was fine. He was 20. I was 17. He tried to win me back a few days later, so obviously he wasn't nearly as upset as I was, and I told him to go to hell. I definitely wouldn't do anything like that as an adult, but as a teenager it seemed like a justified response to the situation. My ex had a sore on his leg, and I had some cream I wanted him to use that would heal it, but the cream was a weird color and he didn't want to put it on. I insisted that he should, because it would literally heal it overnight, but he continuously refused and got annoyed. I finally snapped and started literally screaming at him to put the ducking cream on, and broke down in tears running to my room like a 3-year-old. We broke up not long after for other unrelated issues, but yeah, not my proudest moment. Edit. This blew up. This was about 10 years ago, and we broke up because we both had issues back then and have gone our very separate ways and are both married to separate humans. I chucked a tantrum like a child because there was communication barriers and struggled to get him to do anything. He refused because I was irrational over most things due to the frustration of our toxic relationship. The cream was some magical stuff that someone gave me that had some crazy name. Looked and smelled like tar, but it worked like a charm. No, it wasn't off. Good times. He didn't want to hang out that day, so I took the train to his neighborhood. He brought his friends to the train station after their band rehearsal like he always did. He saw me walking around, and I told him that I just like take walks in his area. It worked and I got to hang out with him, because you know, since I'm already there, I cringe just thinking about it, because he definitively knew. Semicolon. But to be fair, I was 13. Wouldn't do it again nowadays. Dated a guy in my neighborhood when I was 15 or 16, and I would just happen to be taking my dog for a walk across the neighborhood by his house multiple times on the off chance he would see me and come outside. I'm very embarrassed 12 years later. Found out my ex of 3 years had been cheating on me and had stolen money from my savings and my mother's safe jewelry to make presents to this other girl for months. Went out with my friends the following night. We all got a bit drunk and for some reason had to poop at the same time. We thought it was a good idea to poop on his car. So we walked to his house at 3 AM and we all left a little poop on different parts of the car. I am not proud, but I don't regret it either. I burned his stuff and posted a picture of the fire on Facebook, then tagged him right in the center of the fire. This just happened on Saturday night. We're long distance right now until May, and things are going super well, but I have awful anxiety. One of his friends from the new country was having a birthday party, so him and all their friends went out bar hopping that night. He made sure to tell me that he'd be out late and might not be able to text. So I was expecting it. But 4 hours passed, then 8, and I got so worried. I trust him completely, so I didn't think he was with a girl. But I was scared he'd been hurt in an accident, or gotten alcohol poisoning or something. 12 hours have now passed and I'm hysterical. I've been messaging him every hour or so. I really tried to hold in my crazy, "Hey, I hope you're having a great night. I miss you." The messages became increasingly panicked. "Hey, please will you let me know when you get home? I'm getting worried, haha." I mean, after just the 9-hour mark, I was mourning the loss of my best friend and partner. I was laying on my bed sobbing, willing him to message me, even just one word. I worried so much that my stomach hurt so bad I thought I'd throw up. And even though I trust him completely, of course depression and anxiety had to swoop in and say, "I mean, since you're not good enough anyway, why wouldn't he go home with a hot girl?" So I didn't know whether to think he was dead or be angry at him for cheating. I cried for hours because there was nothing I could do about the situation, and I just had to wait. Finally, 16 hours later, he messages me. He had turned his phone off to save the battery for the end of the night when he needed Google Maps, and knowing the way he operates, the battery probably was at 60% when he left anyway. Then they all went out to eat, then got super drunk, walked around town, and he came home and immediately passed out. I was so relieved to know he was okay, and we video chatted the next day, but I never told him how badly I worried because I felt so crazy. My first boyfriend in high school. We were 15 over 16. He was about to break up with me because he was getting cozy with this hot new freshman girl who already had a reputation for giving great BJs. But I didn't know that at the time. All I knew is that he was acting differently towards me. In the past he had been almost clingy, but he was being really distant and acting like being around me was annoying. But on this day, I was still technically his girlfriend. So BF and a bunch of other people start leaving together at the end of the school day. The high school was across the street from a bunch of restaurants, and I heard from one of the other guys they were headed to Buffalo Wild Wings. They left without me. BF didn't say anything about it to me. So what do? Well, naturally I walk over there and park myself outside the restaurant and wait. I waited for probably 90 minutes and this was before smartphones, so I was bored AF. Eventually the group exits the restaurant and BF sees me sitting on the curb. He wasn't going to acknowledge me until one of the other guys said, "Aren't you going to say hi to your girlfriend?" So he gave me a quick one-arm hug and said okay bye. Again one of the other guys prompted him to be polite and offer me a ride back to the school. He goes, "Yeah sure, just hop in the back pickup truck." Other guy says, "You aren't going to let your girlfriend ride shotgun?" BF goes, "No." So yeah, that was really awkward and he called me 2 days later to break up with me. My ex didn't come home one too many times, so I just snapped and ripped up all the photo of us and sprinkled the bits all over the bed and tore apart a little "I love you" teddy he gave me and left it on the bed to come home to. I felt like a crazy bitch the next day, and I've never actually admitted that to anyone. Edit. Thank you for my first gold! Exclamation mark. Didn't think he'd get gold from being a crazy bitch. Ran behind his moving car, howling, in the middle of traffic. Edit. We were in the middle of massive fight in the car, and called off the engagement, and ended up in yelling, and lots of tears. Asked him to drop me off right then and there, in the middle of the road. and opened the door of the moving car. He braked and let me out and I obviously slammed the door for the dramatic effect only to realize seconds later that my handbag with my phone and wallet were in the car. Hence, ran behind his moving car, howling, in the middle of traffic. I just realized I'm not as stable as I pretend to be. I got broken up with. 4 months later was out drinking nearby. Phone him up and basically tell him I'm on my way. He put up a small fight, but in the end, begrudgingly agreed. So I stopped at home. Was not driving. Put on my new floral dress and wedges. Really, I looked nice. I then have a friend drop me off there. Oh, and I also had a huge bottle of vodka in my purse. Despite being very inebriated already, I continued taking straight shots from it. I wake up alone in his bed and walk downstairs. The amount of hate in his eyes startled me. He began to explain how I had tried to piss in his closet, and when confronted, I cried and declared, "You don't know what it's like to be a pretty woman." I left very swiftly after being told that. I don't remember most of the night, and never got the full story as he had virtually blocked me in every ways imaginable. I'm sorry, Matt. Paid money to access my boyfriend's court records because my mom had somehow convinced me he was lying about a certain court case that involved his ex. It turns out he was actually telling the truth. I was only skeptical because he has been known to embellish stories to make them more entertaining. This was while we were broken up for about 2 weeks, and I feel guilty about it all the time for even doubting him. Edit. We were together for 2 years when we broke up, and shortly got back together as the breakup was due to stress from him. I'm still so ashamed of invading his privacy like that, but we are very happy and in a healthy place. I've never been overly jealous, so this was super out of character, but a tint part of me is glad I did, because now I know not to doubt him. A friend of mine flew across the US, pretending to want to reconcile with her recent ex, in order to lock herself in the bathroom with his laptop and wipe the hard drive. In her defense, he was trying to send her parents and college professors her nudes and get her expelled and in trouble. Close bracket. I was hormonal and missing, and so MBF brought me takeout from my favorite sub shop. I cried when I opened it because it was my favorite sub, but I didn't want my favorite. I wanted my second favorite sub. Went through his phone and caught him cheating as a result. Not as crazy as some of the others on here, but it felt crazy to me because I'm 100% not the type of person that does this. The funny thing is, he started cheating when I moved away for college. I suspected nothing, but his dad was a ducking bro and pulled me aside one weekend when I came to visit and told me he suspected he was cheating. Looked in the phone for proof, and it turns out I had gone from girlfriend to the other woman to 3 different girls in the span of about 3 weeks. It was a 6-year anniversary when I found out and dumped him. When I was 15, my boyfriend broke up with me so he could date another girl. I asked for a game back that I had loaned to him, and when I went to pick it up I dropped off a bunch of things that had been from our time together, including a little paper doily from homecoming that had our names on it. I'd burned off his half of it. In my defense, I was 15 and that seemed perfectly normal at the time. Found out my husband was cheating, went to his girlfriend's house with 2 trash bags of his shredded clothes, smashed cologne bottles inside, and a copy of our marriage certificate, and dropped it at her doorstep with a note saying, "Here's your problem now, enjoy," with a P.S. The return policy is expired. You're stuck with him. I made us on The Sims and made us have a bunch of kids. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.